Submission Radio here, post UFC 205 weigh-ins with a very, very special guest. You guys have known him from episodes, you've known him from previous breakdowns at a last trip UFC 202. Simon Head, welcome to an interesting situation here in New York City, where we are knocking on the door of history after the weigh-ins just completed in Madison Square Garden. Now, I just want to quickly cover a couple of things for the fans, because so much has sort of been happening today. We did a video earlier on today when a bunch of people didn't quite make weight. Now we're here. It almost feels like another day. It feels like the morning was a week ago. Cass, John Morgan and a few of the other media people were saying that scalpers were actually selling tickets to this free event, $50, $60, $80 US, just to get in here. But what did you think when you saw the turnout? When I was looking around, I saw a few spare seats, I saw a few spare rows. Were you surprised when you saw that?
Yeah, look, we've been here for a few days now, and let's just preface this with this. We love New York, we love the people, we love the characters, but I was a little bit let down by what we saw in the arena as far as the crowd went. Like, before everything started, you know, the music was great, it looked like people were coming in, and then it just kind of dipped and it just kind of dropped. You thought more people were going to come in, and they weren't. Compared to, say, the Vegas shows for UFC 202, it was madness. It was crazy. It was like this warehouse where there's all these Irish, all these fans, and you think anything and everything can happen. And here, everybody was kind of spread out. You have the people on the floor. It seemed a little bit more organized, but not really in the greatest way. Everybody was further apart, and it just, you didn't really hear the crowd. Honestly, I don't know how many Irish people there were here, but I definitely didn't see as many green t-shirts or orange or white. And if they were here, they were either in civilian clothes or I don't know, but we definitely didn't hear them.
It was interesting because we've had reports that out in the lobby it's been going crazy. They've been dancing, they've been doing their thing, but we definitely didn't see that here. Simon, you spoke to us about how you felt this was a perfect setup for a record-breaking moment for a weigh-in that would just blow the roof off the place. That didn't quite happen. What do you think went wrong?
I don't know if anything went wrong. I think it's just a different demographic. I think the standard by which all weigh-ins are judged is the UFC 189 weigh-in. The first big Vegas weigh-in that I went to, they used the whole of the MGM Grand arena. There was 11,000 people there, and it was like a great big house party. It was nuts. Pretty much the same playlist that we had today, same DJ, and but there wasn't that same connection. I think the Irish fans who are here, a lot of them are probably New York based. Whereas I think a lot of the Irish fans who went to Vegas, perhaps there are more that travelled. I don't know. I mean, because it's actually an easier trip. So, also the setup of the arena is quite different to the MGM Grand. This is a little more open, a bit more of a bowl. It's steep, but it's a bit more of a bowl. So maybe it just isn't as conducive to that sort of raucous atmosphere. I don't think it was that bad. I got to be honest with you. I thought it was okay. Didn't quite hit the heights of 189. Wasn't as tense as UFC 202, where you had that sense that violence could break out at any moment. It was like going to a tough rugby game or a football game where you've got the warring factions in the crowd, and the only security you had was a couple of little old ladies standing between them, telling us to stand back. It wasn't quite like that, but I thought it was okay. It was a decent event, but the staging was excellent, I thought, and it teased things up nicely, I think, and Alvarez has done a good job of carrying the shouldering the promotion of the fight as well. It hasn't all been Conor. Eddie's been pushing back as well, which has been good. Joanna always brings the heat. We know this. We love Joanna. She always brings the heat. And Woodley and Wonderboy have been a little bit more respectful. So I think there's a bit of something for everybody on this card, and it's going to be pretty lively on Saturday night.
Well, when we saw the final stare down between Conor McGregor and Eddie Alvarez before they step in the octagon, obviously tomorrow, I expected something big. I expected something to happen. We know these things sort of do tend to happen before fight time to increase interest in pay-per-view numbers. I was a little bit disappointed, but there was that moment, Casper, during the stare down where Dana White was trying to split both Eddie and Conor apart, and it looked like both guys sort of wanted Dana just to let them at least get close to each other so they can have that moment before tomorrow. Your analysis of the stare down, did it live up to your expectations, and was the job done here today?
Well, my professional analysis with my professor hat on, honestly, I really liked it. I know there's a lot of people that tend to expect more from these McGregor stare downs. You had the crazy ones with Nate Diaz. You had the really animated one with Aldo, where people saying, you know, he flinched and, you know, there was the kick, what's going to happen? And then if you look at the previous ones, the ones with, say, Dennis Seaver and Dustin Poirier, they were wild, but they weren't, I think nothing will really compare to the Nate Diaz one. So I think people really sort of set the bar high. This one, to me, all the trash talk aside, everything aside, this is a pure super fight. It is a legitimate super fight in every sense. It's the featherweight champion versus the lightweight champion. I kind of feel like it didn't really need anything else. And that's the other thing about these McGregor stare downs. Well, a lot of the times, you don't get the chance to get them really face to face, because before they have the chance, something crazy happens. And here it was like, let us just finally have this stare down that sometimes people want. And it was just like slowly but surely they got closer and closer and closer. And I don't know, I liked it. It was just, in some ways, respectful. It wasn't as crazy as usual, but I liked it. I think it was very fitting and deserving for what the fight is going to be and sort of the magnitude of what this fight means.
How about this? And I'm on the opposite side of the coin. I didn't actually like it at all. I thought I was disappointed with what Conor McGregor... Not enough blood. I really felt like the vibe went up yesterday, but I still felt like they needed a bit more anticipation for the event tomorrow. And also, I was a little bit disappointed with what Conor McGregor said on the mic. I feel like he could have done a little bit better. But look, maybe I'm a critic. Maybe I just expected too much after what you said. Simon, I want to jump to Ronda Rousey. I mean, none of the media members knew, or well, we didn't know that she was going to come out, do a stare down out of nowhere. Joe Rogan's like, wait a minute, we have one more thing for you. Your reaction when you saw Ronda Rousey come out, do that stare down with Amanda Nunes, and also were you disappointed that she sort of went off the stage before she had a chance to say anything? Because you'd think, look, you came all the way here, why not say a couple of words and really pump this thing up?
Yeah, I thought there was always the slight possibility that they might do something with Ronda, because Amanda Nunes, I've known, has been here. I was at a lunch function earlier this week. Amanda Nunes was at that function as well, so I knew she was in town. Didn't know Ronda was in town. But as soon as Joe said, we've got something else, I thought it's got to be Ronda and Amanda. It just made sense. I did wonder for a second, because the first part of the promo that hit the screen was Ronda. I'm thinking, maybe they've done the switch and they're going to do the cyborg thing. You know, I didn't know. But in terms of what you were saying about Ronda not speaking, I just think it's just bad PR for her. You know, we've heard these stories about she doesn't want to answer any questions about Cyborg. Here we are, she's making a comeback. She struts onto the stage looking pretty moody and pretty aggressive, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. You're a professional fighter. It's not all hearts and flowers, is it? So, but she went on there, good stare down, nice shot for the snappers in the crowd. You've got to say something. You've got to say something. You know, you've been out for over a year, or well, you will be by the time you get in the octagon. You've got to say something, and she didn't. And I don't know whether it's immaturity, whether it's some sort of fear. She's still nervous about everything that's happened in the past. I don't know, but I thought it was a bad move all round. She needed to say something. Like, even if she just said, "I'm back. I'm getting my belt." It doesn't have to be anything, you know, it could be completely prearranged. You've got a couple of sentences, bang, 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 just get your point out, and then mic drop, walk off. And everyone would be going absolutely crazy about it. Instead, Amanda Nunes gave a very nice, pleasant little soundbite. And then it was like, okay, that's it then. And no Ronda, and everyone's just looking at each other going, oh, okay. You know, I thought it was disappointing.
It's interesting because she got the opportunity on a huge stage, Conor McGregor weighing at Madison Square Garden, history breaking, record breaking. You get the opportunity, Caspi, always talk about the fact you get the mic in front of you. After a fight in the octagon, you got to say something. You get the mic in front of you, Madison Square Garden. After Conor McGregor weighs in, you don't say anything. I just want to get a quick reaction for you. Do you agree with Simon? I agree with Simon. I think it was a big mistake. Do you think so as well?
Yeah, I mean, the way it started off with Joe Rogan saying, you know, and now we have something, it was kind of like UFC 199 with the Brock Lesnar announcement. It's like, oh, we think it's over. Oh, wait, what is this? And then Ronda comes out, she looks mean, which is great. But I feel like you need to say something to your fans, which are the UFC fans, the MMA fans. It's all well and good to be doing, you know, the Ellen Show and Conan and and Jimmy Fallon and all these things. That's great, but it kind of seems like, and you mentioned the stories about not wanting to talk about Cyborg. This has been going on for a very, very long time. I think almost the past year now, where Ronda doesn't want to talk anything regarding MMA. And I just feel like that's your main demographic. This is not a Hollywood movie. It's all well and good if she wants to go and pursue that career. That's fine. But UFC 207 is about her fight, and you need to address those fans, and that's the MMA fans here. And what better place to do it than this place, especially considering that after her loss, a lot of those fans, a lot of people have turned on her, and she needs to reel them back in. And you're right, Simon, a couple of words, something, some sound bites, for the media at least. I'm not even talking about us, but you look at the websites, what is the story here? Ronda Rousey comes back and she's got a stare down. But it would have been so much better to see headlines, Ronda Rousey says she's back, or Ronda Rousey says she's coming to get her title, something along those lines. So I think it was a missed opportunity.
Now we're just, hours. Tomorrow is going to be the event. We're going to be here. It's going to be absolutely nuts. So we spoke on the show, Casper, or I said I want to reserve my chance to change my prediction after I saw Fight Week, saw everybody's emotions, saw what was going on. So quickly, guys, let's get your pick for the main event, okay? Let's talk about this Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez fight. I'm just going to go first. You know, I was really impressed with Eddie Alvarez over the last few days. I thought he did a great job, like you mentioned, Simon. He really kept his own with some of the stuff that he said. And even though he did sort of get emotional, it still looked to me like he had control over his emotion. But I just can't switch my pick. To me, Conor McGregor, I feel, is going to finish him in the first or second round. They're going to end up in a confrontational position, much like we've seen Eddie before. And I just don't think Eddie's going to be able to handle Conor's power when he hits him. Simon, your prediction for the event tomorrow?
I'm going with Conor. I'm going with Conor in the middle rounds, three or four, TKO. I think Eddie's going to start well. I think Eddie will probably win the first round. I think his wrestling will be strong. I think he'll look to do to Conor what he did to Anthony Pettis, and just close the gap and just rough him up. And I think he might to start with. But I think Conor's a big, strong guy at 155. We haven't seen him at 155 in UFC. Believe me, that's his best weight. Go back and watch his fight with Ivan Butchinger when he won the Cage Warriors World Title. He was a beast at 155. And I think what will happen is he'll weather an early storm. But Eddie Alvarez, and this is the thing, he gets hit. Look at his fights. He gets hit a lot, and he gets wobbled a lot. Conor McGregor hits harder and more accurately than almost any other lightweight fighter on the planet, and you can't stand in front of that for 5 rounds and not expect to get knocked out if you fight the way Eddie Alvarez does. I think round 3, round 4, Conor will land clean and we'll finish him by TKO.
Casper, the last fight, UFC 202, was a crazy one. Conor McGregor took some damage. A lot of people saying not long enough time went past for this fight to come together. Also, a lot of people questioning his cardio. What's going to happen when he's going to go into the later rounds? People questioning whether Eddie Alvarez is going to be emotional not going into this. How does this play into your prediction? Are you changing anything, or are you still going with the same one?
Look, Eddie Alvarez, he's a really smart guy. He's a really smart fighter, and he trains very fighter-specific, something that Conor has not done throughout most of his career. But despite his good game planning, he does get sucked into those good brawls. And I feel like even though he's been calm and composed during this whole fight week, having a lot of fun, I feel like once they're in the cage and they're fighting, he's going to want to brawl. And I think even if he does stick to that game plan for maybe the first, maybe the second round, I think eventually, like you mentioned, Simon, Conor McGregor, he's so accurate, he hits so hard, I think he's going to catch him at some point. I don't know if Eddie will be able to recover this time, because people talk about the past times when he's recovered, it takes a toll, and this might be the accumulation of all that. And you mentioned the Anthony Pettis fight. At range, Anthony Pettis was hitting him with good shots. I would say Conor is better at range, and he has the better fight IQ. I don't think Conor is going to be throwing, crazy capoeira, taekwondo kicks. With Anthony Pettis, once you get on the inside, he doesn't have the greatest boxing. Conor's boxing, his hands, they are a lot better. I think he can hurt Eddie Alvarez. I think he can counter him. And my official prediction, though not that confident, even though I might sound it, second round KO for Conor McGregor.
There you guys go. And I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Alvarez wins this. And by no means. I mean, there's a good opportunity. There's a good possibility that they end up in that war and Conor gets hit and Conor ends up going down. But it sure will be fun watching tomorrow. Guys, I cannot wait. Everybody out there, check out Simon's podcast, The Brit Pack. It's absolutely fantastic. Some great stuff coming out right now. Also, some great articles for The Sun. A lot of stuff coming out as well. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. Jump on the Submission Radio YouTube page. A lot of content coming out. And we will see you guys at the fights tomorrow to figure out if Conor McGregor can become a 2-time dual world champion. I mean, can you believe that? I could barely say it, not only because I'm exhausted, but because it's history breaking, and we're here in Madison Square Garden about to watch it tomorrow. Crazy times, guys.